I love this. And it does prove a point, which is where I think you could have more synergy with your doctors, and they could say, okay, so here's all you have to do every day for 2 minutes. It's really going to help you. Don't stop going to physical therapists. But they never tell you anything ever, ever, ever. And so you're left in what I call a real miasma of not of conflicting information. So, hey everyone, this is Diane Gilman, formerly known as the Queen of Jeans, but now the proud host of my own podcast, Too Young to Be Old. Today we have, and pardon me if I do not say this correctly, Ani Papazyan. Good enough, Annie? Oh, help. Okay. And here is the deal. Are you living with pain? I know that I have an arthritic knee and I deal with pain every day. Ani is a licensed pain resolution practitioner. This is all about individually treating pain, conquering that body pain without any addictive drugs. And truthfully, for me, living 100% life, the pain stands in the way, but I refuse to take drugs. So, as a pain resolution specialist, how did you get started in this, Ani?
Well, the way I got started is after with my family moving from Armenia, I had to reinstate my bachelor's degree in kinesiology and decide what's the career path I'm going to take on. Since I couldn't do any cadaver dissection because that terrifies me, so continuing master's wasn't the issue, wasn't happening. So
Uh-huh.
I got into medical massage, functional nutrition, genetic testing. But the reason I got into pain resolution, because I would honestly get upset when people say, oh, those are the cards I was dealt with, or my doctor said that's normal for your age, or my favorite is I've tried everything, even though they've tried maybe one or two things.
Yeah. So I want to just get a definition because you are into nutragenics and nutrigenomics. Tell me very briefly, what are each of those? Nutrigenics, what is that?
So nutrigenomics and nutrigenetics is pretty much the foods you eat, how your body will turn on certain genes or turn them off, and then vice versa, how your genetic makeup can interact with the foods that with your environment.
So, in other words, to get an appointment with you, what you would want is for me to take something like 23andMe and come back to you with a genetic profile.
Please don't. No, 23andMe is
Okay.
23andMe
I
is a
know.
data collection company. No, I actually work with a couple of very reputable companies in United States, like 3X for Genetics, or in Europe with the DNA Life company. And I can go so much into it. But the first appointment, if you're seeing me for pain, you don't need to do anything. You just need to show up, either
Okay,
on
so I
Zoom.
show up
Mhm.
and I have one arthritic knee that is so painful, but I do get gel shots for it, which are semi effective. But all the muscle and the tissue around it is now, there's no muscle. The tissue is thick and unelastic because I haven't used the leg fully in so long, and I'm constantly fighting pain. Now, I also know that you were the massage therapist to one of the rock and roll gods, Janis Jackson, on a tour of hers. And so, what would you say to me? it hurts to move my left leg. My knee is sort of taken care of for about 4 months at a time because of the gel shot, but muscles around it. I looked at my legs the other day, Ani, and I said, oh, wow, that's really good. My weight loss system is working. They're so skinny. And my physical therapist said, no, Diane, they're not skinny. You just don't have any muscle left. You haven't used them in so long. What do you say to someone like me? I always thought I was fearless with pain, but this pain is 24/7 and nasty.
Yeah. So for someone like you, it's considered chronic pain. And my approach to chronic pain, first of all, it's going to be addressing inflammation. That's the
Got it.
first go to with the chronic pain. Now you're saying with knee, I'm assuming there is a structural, like there is no more cartilage left because I'm glad you're doing a, gel shot, whether it's be like a PRP. For you, I would highly, highly recommend to look into stem cell injection. I have clients that have gotten stem cell injection with extreme success. And some
What's
of your,
extreme success?
like
What does
with
that
the
mean?
pain gone.
For how long?
No, gone. With stem
Gone,
cell
gone.
injection, it's gone. It's a solution. It's not a management.
Wow. Oh, then that is really good. And I love that solution, not management, because I have to go every 4 months. It's a big deal. And yeah, they never said the dreaded word surgery or knee replacement. So it's not there. But it definitely is a problem. It never occurred to me that age would bring this. Very unrealistic on my part. But also, I always thought I was really great about pain and had a super high pain threshold, but not necessarily true. And when the pain is constant, day and night, every minute, it really begins, I think, psychologically to wear you down.
I was
So,
just going to say that because when you have that constant pain, it actually can change your brain chemistry. The scientists have shown that the constant pain can actually change your brain chemistry.
oh my
For some
God.
people, it can be that even though the pain is not that like big time pain, like strong pain, but because there's your brain, the constantly your nerves are constantly firing, sending that messages to your brain through your spinal cord, then they become ultra sensitive.
Uh
So
huh.
sometimes even the pain is not that strong, but it feels really strong to you.
Yeah, it feels really constant, and I anticipate it, which is the worst thing of all, and I'm sure a lot of people listening are going, "Uh-huh, me too." We are a nation in America that is now called a gray nation, which means over 50% of the citizens are over 50. And you are getting this tsunami of aches and pains and joint replacements, hip replacements. And so I think that in modern medicine, in what I would call classical modern medicine, it's often treated with a pain blocker that you come to depend on and then can't stop using. Therefore, I would never even go near that. But to solve the problem, and the problem is, I would say, solving the problem is pain resolution. How do you deal with your clients? What are some of the deliverables that are kind of universal that you work with?
Yeah. So since we started talking about chronic pain, that my first solution is let's look at the low grade systemic inflammation. which means we're looking at your diet, anti-inflammatory diet. We're looking at, earlier we were talking about cat and cat allergy, is nobody talks about the histamine's effect to inflammation. So if you have pet allergies or if you have seasonal allergies, that histamine can linger in your bloodstreams and can contribute to systemic inflammation. So addressing that histamine, sometimes I suggest my clients, your next blood work, ask your doctor to test the histamine. Or are you taking antihistamines? And they're like, yes. But at the same time, if you're taking that, but you're eating foods that are either high in histamine or the, contribute to histamine release, and foods that are considered very healthy foods, like do you ever eat avocado? Do you eat spinach?
Much, but the one thing I did give up was red meat. Is
Okay,
that inflammatory?
if you're eating a lot, depending on the body, but it can contribute to inflammation. Yes. But I'm talking about like histamine rich foods, which are
Like what?
strawberries, spinach, bananas, anything fermented, aged cheeses like sauerkraut, which is considered very healthy food because it has the
Very.
prebiotic. But if you have allergies, then sauerkraut will contribute to that histamine release. Or if you
So
drink alcohol.
what would be an ideal diet to help my pain resolution, having that identified arthritis in my knee? What would be
Mediterranean diet. I would say Mediterranean diet. And then for short period of time, maybe like two months or so, stay away from high histamine foods.
but nobody ever talks about high histamine foods. So
I know.
that's shocking to me that avocado is a high histamine. It is a little bit like being dropped into the middle of the Amazon forest with a small kitchen knife to have to slice through all the facts you need to try and take care of what I consider fairly normal aging issues. Like, would you agree that arthritis is a pretty common aging issue?
It is, well, it is looked upon as common aging issue. Yes, definitely. It is looked upon. But the beauty of it, I mean, I'm sure you're very aware of it. You're doing a lot of it. And when I'm talking about the histamine stuff, it's not forever. It's a temporary thing just to get the histamine out of your bloodstreams. So it's a temporary thing. It's not a forever thing like, oh my God, I'm not going to eat spinach and, strawberries ever in my life or
About
avocado.
proteins. How about animal proteins and the possibility also of of all the hormones that
Well,
those animals are
you're
fed?
talking to a meat lover, but I do get my meat delivered. It's grass fed, grass finished, organically grown from local small pastures, pasture raised stuff. So I'm not the person is going to tell you go vegetarian, because when I look at some people's genetic blueprint, some people are good with vegetarian diets, and for some, you should never be vegetarian. I
Oh,
have
how do you
clients
find
that,
that out?
well, I'm
How do
looking
you
at, depending
distinguish
on
that?
some people, I can look at their methylation, which is a lot of the folic acid, the B vitamins, and looking at their, okay, blood work, what does it show? What has been expressed already? So for
Well,
some, being plant-based vegetarian is fantastic, but for some, it's not.
no, my mother and father were they were in a way victims of the Great Depression of 1929, and so the big display of wealth in America, 1940s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, was eat meat. and steak and more steak and more steak. And when I saw my mother, who lived well into her 90s, but when I saw her really crippled by arthritis, and there was so much talk about how much red meat was a villain in your diet, I just linked eating a lot of red meat to being arthritic, and I stopped eating meat. Because the real truth is, honestly, Ani, if you go to a regular doctor, let's say an osteopath, somebody who deals with bone, and they're never, huh, they're only going to use the prescribed methods and drugs that the hospital they're linked to prefers and allows them to use. There's really, I think modern medicine is sort of in a box. And
Agree.
on the other hand, there is this total, it's so confusing, a lack of agreement. So here I am thinking, oh, I'll go totally vegetarian and that's really going to help my inflammation. And avocados are so good for me and they've got avocado oil in them and that's going to grease all of my joints. And now you're saying, not really. So do you have advice? Let's say that arthritis and the outcomes of chronic arthritis are probably one of the most common conditions for people over 55 in America. I know you deal with individuals, but I also know you've done this for 30 years and have a great overview. What would be a synopsis of the best way to approach this? Like, I got to tell you, I'm pretty sophisticated and I have no idea where to go for stem cell, but I'm going to give it a try. I'm going to figure it out because it sounds good. And we're going to explain that in a minute also. What would be your overview of healthy diet if
Yes.
somebody said, okay, I can't get to a doctor for 2 months, or I've got to research it, or I live in a small town? What's your advice for diet?
So for,
Can
like
you
I said,
give an
Mediterranean
overview?
diet, Mediterranean
Which
diet,
is
which is a lot of like vegetables, colorful vegetables, some
olive
fruits,
oil?
olive oil, extra virgin olive oil, fantastic. And then fish, Mediterranean. I grew up in Armenia. I'm born and raised in Armenia. So I grew up with amazing Mediterranean. My grandmother's Egyptian Armenian. My dad was born and raised in Cairo. So we grew up with a very traditional Mediterranean diet. We did eat the meat, not every day. We eat a lot of fish, a lot of variety of vegetables. But when we're talking about generalized, okay, the diet, we got the diet. When we talk about arthritis, movement is the best thing for arthritis, and heat and movement.
Oh, I had no idea.
Yeah, for
No idea
arthritis,
about heat.
heat and movement would be very good for your
Now,
body. And
I
castor
know.
oil pack.
Oh, my mother used to give me castor oil all the time. I'm not so sure I can do
But a
that,
pack
but
on your knees. Don't consume it. Just put the castor oil pack on your knees, on your joint.
okay, that sounds good. So, if you are living in a town like I am, Manhattan, that gives you the opportunity for more sophisticated choices in healthcare, why are stem cell injections a great way to go? And I will preface this by saying that so many people I know, starting at the age of 40, are really experiencing terrible joint pain, um, getting replacements, having to go through very painful, very long physical therapy. Is stem cell just for knees and arthritis, or can you do it in a shoulder joint, a hip joint? How does that work? And why
Stem
do you
cell
think it's
can be
superior?
used. It can be used for whatever joints you like. I'm not, that's above like my level of, education, what I said to
Yeah.
explain how exactly stem cells work. But the stem cells, the beauty of it, there's so much research now that it can convert to any cell, anything possible. And that's the beauty of stem cell. That's why, like when my sister had my nephew, she actually kept her the cord, what they call the cord,
Umbilical cord. Yeah.
umbilical cord, because it's full of the stem cells. But they use some other ways. So there's a
For medical.
great book that Tony Robbins wrote that gives you tons of information on that. If any of your listeners are interested, they should check it out. It's called Life Force.
Uh-huh.
This book, it's called Life Force by Tony Robbins. And he talks a lot about the latest research and what they're actually doing in the medical, advanced medical technologies, what's available. And the funny thing is, even some of his doctors told him, oh, for your shoulders, don't do stem cell. It's not going to work. It doesn't do anything. And of course, he went and he did it. And he has absolutely no issue.
Wow. And in the meantime, somebody I work very closely with at a bank, um, who handles a lot of money. It can't be more than 45 years old maximum, and just had to have his rotator replaced, some awful thing. And he was saying, oh my God, the pain is outrageous. The physical therapy is middle age torture. And I think we're going through this more and more. And I think when you have a country that has an elongated lifespan, because you're able to get at high grade foods and possibly solutions, the more and more you see that what you're getting is just short term. In other words, for me, the gel shot, I have to do it 3 to 4 times a year, and it's kind of a big deal every time I do it. So I'm not afraid of doing stem cells. The point is, I don't even think that's in my insurance plan. I think that's,
It doesn't
yeah,
cover.
see? So
It's
here's
cash.
what kills me about all of this is people like you, Ani, have the knowledge and have solutions. But the medical community is very structured and just doesn't pick up on it. Nobody, I think, gives you any advice beyond exactly what they can do. And I live within a hospital system. It's a very famous hospital nationally, but they would never offer stem cell. They would only offer gel. And even getting gel was like, oh, this major big deal. My God.
Yeah.
But so they harvest my cells and then they reuse them in my body. And
So you're doing
I
like
could tell
therapy.
you, yeah,
Yeah.
I could tell you that the pain was not so great. And the first time I had to have 4 shots, one a week, and that was kind of a drag. Then it got down to where you could just do a prep shot, and then a week later you get the full shot. But, I've got to say that if I, as a 78-year-old in America, was not getting even the gel shot, I don't think I would be mobile. I don't think that I would be able to move around at all because, well, the deal is weight bearing limbs are
Yeah.
just that. And it is crucial. So when you traveled with Janice Jackson on her tour, her Velvet Rope World Tour, and that I'm sure is a whole other story. You were just constantly doing massage. So I'm going to ask you, as a massage practitioner, along with being pain resolution, how much do you think massage can alleviate pain and get people back on the mobility, movement, um, what I would almost say life treadmill? How much does that resolve pain?
Oh my God. Depending type of massage you're doing. I studied medical massage back in college, even in Armenia. And medical massage is very different in a lot of people's approach to or their understanding of massage, because a lot of people think massage is a luxury, that you get it, you go to a spa.
Yeah,
If I tell you massage, you're just visualizing the spa, this beautiful setting. You go to sauna. Sauna is just like putting lotion, whatever oil on your body, and it
yeah.
smells good. That's not the massage I was trained with. I'm a medical massage practitioner. With medical massage, everything which was part of mainstream medicine in Russia, even now in Russia and some European countries, doctors, MDs can take medical massage as a continuing education. It's
Okay, so what?
such.
Let's just explain it
Mhm.
to me and the audience. What is the difference between spa level massage and medical massage? What is
It's
the
your approach.
difference in
The
feel?
medical massage
Okay.
practitioners. So if you come to me with, let's say, knee pain, every stroke I do, the strokes may look exactly the same as the regular massage. But the medical massage practitioners, every stroke technique they use, it has a significant reason they're doing. The time, the
More
minutes.
Is it more painful? Is it
Not
more
necessarily,
invasive?
no. No, absolutely not necessarily. But every move we do, the timing of it, everything, it has a purpose and it has a specific outcome at the end.
You
That's a
know,
difference.
I do get my physical therapist does massage every week and a lot of leg movement, but the massage is often moving around the kneecap, and I'm like, oh my God, what are you doing? And then afterwards, I guess
See,
it releases
for me,
fluid buildup. It feels so much
so
better.
for you, actually, I would start, if you were my client on my table, I would start for you with the lymph drainage. That's the first thing I would start. I would open up the lymphatic drainage first, and then work on your ankle, your calves, your thighs, your lower back, and then do some things around your knee. But and then also would finish the treatment with lymphatic drainage. That would be my approach with you.
And is lymphatic drainage, that is a technique of massage, right?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Yeah, that could be really workable. Also, because I had all my lymph nodes removed from my left underarm when I went through breast cancer treatment, and my left arm has lymphedema, so it's always
Very common.
slightly
And it
swollen.
drives
Yep.
me crazy, when I have patients come to me that they had lymph nodes removed. And all doctors have to do, just literally have piece of paper printed out with like few steps of the client doing lymph drainage themselves at home with like a dry brushing, or if you have a tiny, like I have a mini trampoline that you jump on, mini trampoline, get a small vibration plate, or just do a basic or tapping, just open up lymphatic ducts.
No kidding.
That's it. Just do
Really? I
this,
can.
because you have
Wow.
your main thoracic duct on the left side that drains for most of your body. On the
Yeah, and
right
it's my
side,
left side.
exactly. So all you do first, you tap it for a few minutes to open it up,
Okay.
like here, and then you do tapping on your arm, up and down your arm, and then the
I'm
other
doing it.
arm, and then on your belly, right around your belly button, you just do like almost pumping to open up those
Wow.
drainages. And if you
See,
do
I
that for
love
like
this.
2 minutes,
I love this. And it does prove a point, which is where I think you could have more synergy with your doctors, and they can say, okay, so here's all you have to do every day for 2 minutes. It's really going to help you. Don't stop going to physical therapists. But they never tell you anything ever, ever, ever. And so you're left in what I call a real miasma of not of conflicting information. So they never told me anything about stem cells, but they said gel. Why? Because gel is covered by Medicare and they can make money off of it. Do you know I had a glitch with Medicare, and before I could get my first set of gel shots while we were trying to fix Medicare, which we finally did, um, I had to pay upfront to a pharmacy that specialized in gel and have that gel sent to me to then send it to the hospital for refrigeration. Everything in modern medicine is about payment. It's about
that's why
getting
actually it's
paid
funny
and
with
not getting sued.
people say your pain management. I'm like, no, I don't manage pain. I either get rid of it or I don't.
Ah, okay. So for someone like me, you would say to me, I'm not going to manage pain for you. I'm either going to be able to get it down to a level where it isn't even called pain anymore, or else,
Or send you to someone that can.
ah, okay, I got it. Wow. Well, I'm wondering in the audience out there, if you're thinking to yourself the way I am, that we all, as what I call super agers, women and men who live far beyond and far more actively than the common look of aging. Um, this information to me is invaluable. And I think if I'm just going to sum up this podcast with an overview, it is you've got to do your research as, I don't want to call it a customer, but definitely as someone who's going to and wants to become a client of an efficient and effective practitioner. You got to do your research and you've got to make your own choices. It's interesting, huh? I mean, I go to doctors and I don't go very often, but they're they're dying to give you Ozempic. They're dying to give you statins. They never talk about any of the side effects. And you're looking for maybe more individualized resolution. But for everybody out there in the audience, this is a great lesson in taking control of your own body as much as you can. Now, Ani, you wrote part of a book. Do you have that book to just hold up for 1 second?
I did. That
Okay.
was my first time. Yes.
Business, life,
Business, life,
and
and the universe.
okay.
Yeah.
And this is all about ways that we can help ourselves. And Ani, where do you practice? Where are you
I'm based
currently?
in Los Angeles, in San Fernando Valley, specifically city of Tarzana, which is in Los
My
Angeles.
hometown. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
LA,
And
my hometown. Good place to be because one thing I see in LA is a lot more deep interest in the body and staying very mobile and always being in shape. So
Yeah,
That's
difference is
perfect.
in Manhattan, you guys walk. In LA, we drive everywhere.
Oh, I know. I lived there for a decent part of my life, 20 years. So, Ani, I want to thank you so much. If people want to reach Ani and start to get pain resolution in their lives, we'll give Enlist all that information for you. And you really shed some light on activation I am going to take for myself now, like finding out about PRP shots and stem cells, like my own version of lymph drainage. And we need people like you, Ani. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much for having me here. This was wonderful. I love sharing the information. And if it's
Very
appropriate,
interesting.
I would love to say that for your audience, I have a gift. If they go to 5bodypainhacks.com, they can actually get very short videos filled with self help techniques and downloadable PDFs for themselves.
Oh, I'll be doing that. So, thank you. Goodbye. And hopefully, some of these are going to become great solutions for all of us. Thank you so much for listening to Too Young to Be Old podcast. The episode may be over, but the fun doesn't have to stop here. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at The Diane Gilman, or visit our website, thedianegilman.com. If you like the show, leave us a rating or a review and subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. And until then, don't forget, age is just a number. Together, we'll prove that we are all too young to be old.